Happy Sabbath, everybody. So today's class title is called Am I My Brother's Keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? Jacob versus Esau turned Esau versus Edom. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over the history and the story of the life of two brothers, Jacob and Esau. And then we're gonna look at the history of the nations of people that came from them and look at the characteristics. And we also go, most importantly, look at some prophecy. Look at some prophecy. So let's open up in Genesis chapter 4. And we're going to start at 8. Genesis chapter 4 and verse 8.
Genesis 4 and 8. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother.
It says the story of Cain and Abel. This is when Cain killed Abel. Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
He said, so the Most High asked Cain, where is Abel? And he said, I don't know, for which was a lie. He knew where he was at. And then he said, am I my brother's keeper? Which was him being a smart aleck to the Most High. That's basically him talking back to the Most High. But why did he say, am I my brother's keeper? Now, mind you, he just killed Cain. Now he's mocking. My bad. He just killed Abel. Now he's mocking Abel by saying, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Why is he mocking him? Jump up to verse 2. Well, read verse 1.
Verse 1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep.
So Abel was a keeper of sheep. That's what his name means, breath or keeper. So since he was a keeper of sheep, Cain said, am I a keeper of my brother? He was being a smart aleck to the Most High, but at the same time, he was mocking his brother Abel right after he killed him. Because Abel was a keeper of sheep. Finish that off.
And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground.
Now read verse 9 again.
Verse 9. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
So you see how he's mocking Abel right after he killed him. This was the first murder. Go to Matthew chapter 10. Because why did he kill him? This is going into how we are when we come into the knowledge of Christ. When we come into the truth. When you come into the truth, guess what? People are going to hate you for being obedient to God. He hated Abel because God had respect unto Abel because Abel obeyed when he sacrificed. Cain didn't obey. So this is the same thing as he was mockingly saying, "Am I my brother's keeper?" This is how people treat you when you come into the knowledge of the truth. They reproach you. They saying little smart aleck things about you. Let's read that. Matthew 10 and 34.
34. Think not I'll come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword.
So there's not going to be peace on earth. Christ is not about peace. He's about division. Go ahead.
For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household.
That's going to be your first foes. When you come into the obedience of Christ, the obedience of God, your first foes are the ones closest to you. Cain and Abel, the first murder ever were brothers. That was the first murder. Go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9. Here's my voice again. No cold going on or something. Wisdom of Solomon 9, hit verse 18.
Wisdom of Solomon 9 and 18. For
Wisdom of Solomon 9. Go ahead. That was the speaker.
Chapter 9, verse 18. For so the ways of them which lived on the earth were, and men were taught the things that were pleasing unto thee.
It said, men were taught the things that was pleasing to God. And how was they saved? Go ahead.
And men were taught the things that were pleasing unto thee, and were saved through wisdom.
And we are saved through wisdom. That's one of the things that help us get saved is knowing how to please God. Knowing how to please God is the wisdom. Now go to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10, read verse 1.
Wisdom of Solomon 10, verse 1. She preserved the first form father of the world.
So now this is talking about wisdom. Wisdom is known as a she, right?
That was created alone and brought him out of his fall.
So it said brought him out of his fall, talking about Adam. Go ahead.
And gave him power to rule all things.
And gave him power to rule all things. Go ahead.
But when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger.
It say so now it went from Adam, then now it's talking about Cain. It say when unrighteous went away from her in his anger. When it say we go away from wisdom and anger and malice. Malice can pull us away from wisdom. It said wisdom went away from him in his anger. Go ahead. And what happened?
He perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother.
And then he perished because he murdered his brother in his anger. He was mad because God had respect to Abel's obedience. That's why all the prophets was killed. That's why we get reproached when we come into the knowledge of Christ, the real knowledge of Christ. Like prophecy says, what happened to you. This is not something that you do to be light. Bending the truth is not something you do to be liked, because you will be hated. Abel was killed. Now go to chapter 1, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1. So they say, in his anger, wisdom left him. In his anger. Why do wisdom leave us in our anger? Verse 4, Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 4.
Wisdom of Solomon, one of malicious soul, wisdom shall not answer.
Because they're malice. When we have malice on us, guess what? Malice is a wisdom blocker. No wisdom can get into somebody holding on to malice. Go ahead. I'll read that again.
For into a malicious soul, wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin.
And it said it can't dwell in a body that is subject unto sin. Wisdom cannot dwell in a body that is subject unto sin. So what do you do? What do we have to do to let that wisdom enter? Go to Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, verse 17, chapter 17, my bad, chapter 17. Sirach 17, read verse 25.
Sirach 17:25.
So the reason why we're reading this is it says wisdom cannot enter into a body that's unto sin. Or it can't stay there. It can't enter into a malicious soul, and it can't dwell in a body that's continuing to sin. So what do we do? Verse 25.
Return unto the Lord and forsake thy sins.
It says, forsake your sins. Go ahead.
Make thy prayer before his face.
Go ahead.
And offend less.
And offend less. So the less you sin, the more room you open up for wisdom. So we offend less. So now that we got the politics out the way, let's jump into the story. Let's jump into the origins of Jacob and Esau. Let's get Genesis 25. Let's get Genesis 25. We're going to start at 19. So now we just seen the instances. And then another thing that I noticed in the Bible, there was a lot of brothers that was against each other. Even our forefathers. Y'all see what they did to Joseph? They sold him into slavery. So it was a lot of things to where it's a lot of where brothers, where family members are going at it. And this is based on obedience. Verse 19.
Genesis 25 and 19. These are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethel, the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister of Laban the Syrian.
So Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebecca. Remember, he had to wait on her because he got her when she was younger. Then he had to wait on her. So he was 40 years old when they finally got married. Verse 21.
And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren.
And she was barren. Go ahead.
And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived.
And now she conceived. He went and prayed because she was barren. And then after he prayed to the Most High gave her a child. Go ahead.
And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went in and she went to inquire of the Lord.
So the children was struggling in her. They was fighting. And we're gonna discuss why was they fighting later. Verse 23.
And the Lord said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
So it's two nations. She's about to give birth to two nations. And they're gonna be separated. Go ahead.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
It said, and the elder shall serve the younger. That's why they were struggling within her. Because it's the law of inheritance. The law of inheritance always go to, well, let's hold this spot. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 20. Instead of trying to explain it, let's just read it. Deuteronomy 21 and 15. Let's look at the law of inheritance.
Deuteronomy 21, verse 15. If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated.
So he loved one, hate the other. Go ahead.
And they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated. And if the firstborn son be hers that was hated.
So if the firstborn son was born of the hated wife, right?
She make us to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated.
So he couldn't make the son, his second son, he couldn't give his inheritance to the second son just because she's from the wife that he loved. He's just because he hate this wife, she still had his first son. So you got to give the inheritance to what? The firstborn son. Go back to Genesis 25. So that's why they were struggling in the womb. They wanted to be born first. They wanted to get the inheritance. They wanted to get the inheritance. So they in the womb fighting. Read verse 23 again. But this is what they didn't know. Yeah, my bad. Genesis 25 and 23. Back in Genesis.
Genesis 25, verse 23. And the Lord said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
So they didn't know that the elder. So this is the Lord telling Rebecca this. Remember, he didn't tell Isaac this. He's telling Rebecca, look, two nations is in your womb, and then he's giving them a prophecy. The older child, the child that come out first, is gonna be a servant to the younger child. So the Lord is letting her know what? The first child is not gonna get the inheritance. The second child is going to get the inheritance. This is what the Most High is letting Rebecca know. Remember, Isaac don't know this. Only Rebecca know this. Verse 24.
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb.
Twins in her womb, go ahead.
And the first came out red, all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau.
So Esau, when you look up the definition of Esau, it means hairy. Hairy. He came out red. Verse 26.
And after that came his brother out and his hand took hold on Esau's heel.
So they still fighting. He's trying to stop him from. He's still trying to stop him from being born first. He got his hand on his heel while he coming out. Like, nah, supposed to be me. He's still fighting, coming out. Go ahead.
And his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them.
So Isaac was 60 years old. So she had got pregnant 20 years after they got married. Because remember, he was 40 when they got married. He's 60 when they had Esau and Jacob. Verse 27.
And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter.
And Esau was a cunning hunter. Remember this. Esau was a cold hunter. Go ahead.
A man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents.
And Jacob, he chilled. He was Mr. Cool. He chilling. Esau, you go ahead out there and you do that. I'm chilling. Said he was a plain man. Plain man means mild. He was mild mannered. He was cool. He was laid back. Go ahead.
And Isaac loved Esau.
And Isaac loved Esau because that was his what? Firstborn. Isaac thought this is where my inheritance go. He's my firstborn. But Rebecca knew something different. Go ahead.
And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison. But Rebecca loved Jacob.
Because Rebecca knew that's where the blessing goes. Because remember, the Most High told her, the elder shall serve the younger. So she like, that's my son that's going to get the blessing. That's my son that's going to get the blessing. Go to, hold this spot. Go to Hosea 12. Because he said, Jacob took hold of Esau's heel. It also signifies something. Hosea chapter 12. Let's see what that meant. In verse 3. Hosea 12 and 3.
Hosea 12, verse 3. He took his brother by the heel, and his strength he had power with God.
So that's what that means. Jacob was strong. He had power with God. Even though Esau was a cunning hunter, Jacob was strong. And it said he had power with God. Read that again.
He took his brother by the heel in the womb, and by his strength he had power with God.
So that's what that was signified when it said. Also, when it said he took hold of Esau's heel. Now let's go back to Genesis. Excuse me. Genesis 25, we at 29.
Genesis 25, verse 29. Jacob's side pottage, and Esau in the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage.
So Jacob, he in there cooking. He in there cooking some stew. Making some stew. And Esau, he was out in the field. And he said, You know what? Let me get some of that stew right there. Let me get some of that pottage. Go ahead.
for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom.
So now his name was called Edom because Edom also means what? Red. When you look up Edom, the word for Edom, it means red because he was red and hairy. It means red. 31.
And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright.
So Jacob said, sell me that inheritance. Now, mind you, Jacob don't know what Rebecca know. But this is how it was going to play out. This is how the Most High made it play out. So he like, you know what? If you want some of this pottage, sell me your birthright. Now think it, y'all got brothers, sisters. Think if one of your brothers told you that, told you, hey, you can get some of these red hot riplets if you sell me your birthright. You get some of this egg foo young if you sell me your birthright. Basically selling your inheritance for a meal. Let's see what Esau say. Verse 32.
Verse 32. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die.
He said, I'm at the point to die. Go ahead.
And what profit shall this birthright do to me?
He said, I'm about to die. That birthright ain't going to mean nothing if I die. But he wasn't about to die if you hungry. He said, what shall this birthright do for me? Go ahead, verse 33.
And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob.
He sold his birthright unto Jacob. He sold it for that meal. Jacob got this birthright, and now he what? He swear that he was going to give it to him. Hold this spot. Go to Numbers 30. If you swear something, it's a done deal. If you swear something, it's a done deal. You cannot take that back. Numbers 30 and verse 2. Go back to Genesis.
Numbers 30, verse 2. If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with the bind, he shall not break his
It
word.
said he shall not break his word. You can't break your word. That birthright is gone. You cannot break your word. Go ahead.
He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth.
He said you got to do everything that came out your mouth. Go back to Genesis 25. So he sold his birthright, and not only did he sell it, Jacob was smart. Jacob said, read 33 again.
Genesis 25 and 33. And Jacob said, swear to me this day.
Jacob was smart. He said, swear. He said, every my swear to me this day. Okay, you close that window. He said, swear to me this day. Go ahead.
And swear to him. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob.
So Esau did swear and he sold it. Go ahead.
Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils. And he did eat and drink and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright.
So that means you sold your birthright. That means you despised it. For you to sell your birthright, the Bible said it's showing that he despised it. Hold this spot. Go to Hebrews chapter 12. Hebrews chapter 12, we're going to read 16.
Hebrews 12, verse 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for want of meat sold his birthright.
You see, so he was a fornicator and a profane person. He was a fornicator and a profane person. That he's to sell your birth like he was a heathen.
Yeah, that's a person with no morals. They're willing to give up everything that was promised, and they just give it up for something temporary. Like they ain't got
Right.
no morals.
Right. A temporary thing, because don't nobody ever pay back something that's temporary. Let me I ain't gonna say ever, put my people on blast. Me and my people, we used to work at Home Depot. And y'all know Home Depot got those food courts. So we worked there. So the food court dude he used to let us get the food on credit. Cause they was like, hey, y'all work here, we here on payday. Y'all just pay me on payday. Sometimes we didn't even have to pay. He was just cool. My cousin, he done ran up a bill, like a $60 bill on the food court. And he left the job, quit. Food court dude, no, that's my people. He asking me every day, man, where your people? I don't know, man. He trying to get his $60. But that food was gone. He done ate that food, but that $60, he like, that was 3 weeks ago when I ate that food, but this $60, I need that today. That's how it is when you have that temporary fix. When you have to pay later for something that's a temporary fit. That's why everybody is not good with credit cards. It's what is it? Buy now, pay later. People don't be wanting to pay later. That's what Esau did. He was just tunnel vision on that food. Thought he was gonna die. That's how it is. Go back to Genesis 25. No, we did 25. Go to Genesis 27. Let's start at 1. So now, so Jacob got the birthright. Esau sold it. Let's see what happens. Genesis 27, verse 1.
Genesis 27, verse 1. Came to pass that when Isaac was old, his eyes were dim, so that he could not see. He called Esau his eldest son, and said unto him, my son. And he said unto him, behold, here I am.
Correct.
And he said, behold, now I am old. I know not the day of my death.
He said, I'm old. I can die any day. Talking to his eldest son. He like, this my oldest boy right here. All right.
Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison.
He said, and go hunt. Go hunt me some food. Go ahead.
And make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die.
So he said, look, I gotta give you your blessing. Because remember, Isaac, the law is the inheritance, the birthright go to the oldest son. Isaac don't know nothing about Esau selling his birthright. He don't know nothing about what the Most High said to Rebecca. He just know my inheritance go to my oldest boy. That's all he know. So he finna die. So he like, look, Make me a good old meal so I can feel good and give you your blessing before I die. He don't know nothing about no birthright, him selling it or nothing. Let's see if Esau say, well, you know, Dad, I end up selling it to little bro. Let's see if that's what Esau say. Um, verse 5.
Verse 5. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it.
Esau like, all right, I'm finna still get my birthright. Because now it's time to pay for it. It's time to pay. The buy later, buy now, pay later. When it's time to pay, people don't pay. People who don't have any morals, stuff like that, like now mind you, he swear. He swear. That didn't even mean nothing to him. He like, all right, Dad. But what happened? Rebecca overheard Isaac. Rebecca heard him. Let's see what Rebecca do. Verse 6.
Verse 6. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savory meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, according to that which I commanded thee.
So she like, it's time. It's time to get the birthright. Remind you, she know what the Lord said, that Jacob is supposed to get the birthright. So she like, it's time. We gotta act now. Listen to me. Go ahead.
Bring me venison, and I make me savory meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Lord before my death.
Read that again, verse 9.
And 9, go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids from the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loves.
So she like, look, go give me some goats, and I'm gonna make the meat, because that's what he told Esau to do, to go make him some savory meat. He said, look, go give me some goats. I'm gonna make the savory meat for your father. Go ahead.
And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat it, and that he may bless thee before his death.
So he said, you bring the savory meat that he may bless you, because you're supposed to get the blessing. Go ahead.
And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man.
He said, Esau is a hairy, but I'm smooth. Go ahead.
My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall sing to him as a deceiver.
You see that? He said, my father, he gonna feel my smooth skin, and he gonna know I'm not Esau, and my father in my father's eyes, I'm gonna be like a deceiver. So this is what he was worried about. So Jacob, he had some righteousness in him. He didn't want to seem like a deceiver, especially in his father's eyes. Go ahead.
And I shall bring a curse upon me, not a blessing.
He said, and I'm gonna bring a curse upon me by my father thinking I'm a deceiver. Verse 13.
And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse.
He said, the curse gonna be upon me. Go ahead.
My son, only obey my voice and go fetch me them.
Go ahead.
And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son.
So she took some of Esau's clothes, put them on Jacob. Go ahead.
And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck.
So the goat she just killed, she put the hairy stuff on Jacob, so his father can think he's Esau, hairy. Go ahead.
And she gave the savory meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, My mother. And he said, Here am I. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me.
So he said, I'm Esau. Go ahead. Now, mind you, this was the only way that he can get it because Esau wasn't going to give it to him. Esau wasn't going to say, hey, Dad, I end up selling my birthright and I swore to God to give it to him. Because Isaac would have said, oh, you swear to it, so you got to do it. So this was really the only way that Jacob could have got. He didn't really want to do it, but this was the only way he can get it. Because Esau wasn't going to live by his word and give it to him. All right?
And Isaac said unto his son, how is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because the Lord thy God brought it to me.
Verse 21.
And Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray thee. I pray thee that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very first, whether thou be my very son Esau or not.
So he said, I want to feel you to see if you Esau or not. 22.
And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, the voice is Jacob's voice, and the hands are the hands of Esau.
And so he said, you sound like Jacob, but your hands feel like Esau. So, okay. You sound like Jacob, but I'm feeling you. You feel like Esau. So, all right, go ahead.
And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy.
So he said he didn't realize it was Jacob because his hands was hairy. Go ahead.
As his brother's Esau's hands. So he blessed him.
So he blessed him. Go ahead.
And he said, art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it nearer to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord had blessed.
So now you're about to bless him. This is the blessing right here. Now, let's read it first. Let's read verse 28.
Therefore, God give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine.
So he said, you're going to have the dew of heaven, the fatness of earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Verse 29, this is the important part.
Let people serve thee.
It say what?
Let people serve thee.
Let people serve you. Go ahead.
And nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee.
So he just gave him the same blessing that Abraham received. This is the same blessing that Abraham passed to him. So now, why is this important? Y'all need to really write this scripture down right here because this is important. I'm going to tell y'all why. You know how people use John 3:16 for God so loved the world, and now everybody get the blessing from Abraham. We are Abraham's seed. We spiritual Israelites. Y'all know how people say that? Well, what they never say is, what they don't understand is, what is the blessing? If let's say everybody get the blessing, like no matter what nationality, Israelites, Edomites, Ishmaelites. This is the doctrine that they teach. Let's say God loved the world, everybody get the blessing of Abraham. Well, if everybody get the blessing, how do read verse 29 again?
Genesis 27:29. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee.
Who gonna do the serving and who gonna do the bow down? The whole world is getting Abraham's blessing. Who's gonna do the serving and who's gonna do the bowing down? This is the scripture that you use to show that's not the understanding. This is the blessing here. This is the blessing that everybody say. For God so loved the world that everybody's get eternal life. This is Abraham's blessing. Hold this spot. Go to Genesis chapter 12. Let's go read the blessing. Y'all need to, when y'all really get into these stories, you really start to understand it. When you understand prophecy, that's the prophecy. Nations, people go serve you, nations go bow down to you. It went to who? Jacob. It didn't go to Esau. Genesis 12 start at 1.
Genesis 12, verse 1. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee.
So he's telling Abram or at this point his name was Abram to get out of there. Verse 2.
And I will make of thee a great nation.
So this is the promise. He said, I'm going to make of you a great nation. Go ahead.
And I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing.
Go ahead.
And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee. And in thee,
go ahead,
shall all families of the earth be blessed.
So people read that and say, see, all the families of the earth gonna be blessed. But this is not, but all the families don't get the same blessing that Jacob got, that Isaac got, that Abraham got. They get a blessing, but it's not the same blessing. And he said, in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. What do in thee means? Go to Genesis 22. He said, what do in thee means? Genesis 22. Let's get the point. Genesis 22 and 15.
22 verse 15. And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, By myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld not withheld thy son, thy only son, that in blessing I will bless thee.
So he said, I will bless you, go ahead.
And in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies.
So he said, in thee I'm gonna bless you, meaning in your seed. Your seed shall possess the gate of his enemy. This is the same thing he told Jacob. When he passed the blessing down, when Isaac passed his same blessing down to Jacob, he told him the same thing. Nations go bow down to you. Here he said, your seed, your children, Abraham, is going to possess the gate of his enemy. Verse 18.
And in thy seed.
And in thy seed. This is what it means when he said, in thee, all the families of the earth going to be blessed. Meaning, in your seed, go ahead.
In thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice.
So he said, in your seed, all the nations going to be blessed. Meaning what? The Israelites got to get their blessing first. And then everybody else get their blessing. So there is no way. I mean, so it's showing that nationality is what? Important. Because what blessing do you get? The 12 tribes get this blessing. Other nations get different blessings. Let's prove that. Go to chapter 17. Let's prove that. And it's easy to prove. That's why when people say they have faith, you have faith in what? In the prophecies. Genesis 17, start at 19. Let's show, what we're going to show is there's blessed different families of the earth. The Israelites have the same blessings of Abraham. That blessing was passed to his son Isaac. That blessing passed to Jacob, not Esau. Let's look at when the blessing was passed down to Isaac. Verse 19.
Genesis 17, verse 19. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt call his name Isaac.
So Sarah had Isaac. Go ahead.
And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him.
And with Isaac's seed after him. So watch verse 20, because Abraham had another son. Go ahead.
And as for Ishmael.
And as for Ishmael, this was Abraham's other son. As for Ishmael, go ahead.
I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful.
So this is Ishmael blessing. He said, I've heard him. I will bless him. Go ahead.
And make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation.
So this is Ishmael blessing. But watch this.
But my covenant will I establish with Isaac.
But my covenant is with Isaac. So all the families of the earth did get a blessing. And we seeing here, and we use it to show this with what? The brothers. This is the point of the class, is to show why the brothers hated each other. Start off with Cain and Abel. Now it's going with Abraham got a blessing. Abraham had two sons, only one could be chosen. It wasn't Ishmael. Ishmael got a blessing though, but it's not the blessing of what John 3:16 is talking about. It's not that promise. It's not the same promise. It's not the same blessing. He said, read that again, verse 21.
But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year.
Let's go back to Genesis 27. So the blessing of being in rulership, being in having a kingdom, went to who? Jacob. That's why I said the elder shall serve the younger. So it do matter who you are. If you're an Israelite, you get that blessing. If you come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you get that blessing. If you come from another nation, you get a whole different type of blessing. The whole world, every nation of people can't rule the world at the same time. When that happened, you have different religions, different gods. It's going to be one God, and he's the God of the Israelites, and his people, his son, the 144,000, and the Israelites ruling over the rest of the nations. But they get their blessing too. Let's show it. Go to, read 29 again. Genesis 27 and 29.
Genesis 27, verse 29. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee.
So we read that when when Abraham, when God taught that to Abraham, Abraham taught that to Isaac, and now Isaac is telling that to Jacob. It's the same blessing being handed down. It's the same blessing being handed down. Jacob going to tell the 12 tribes of Israel. That means it do matters who you are. It do matter. Now watch this. Do Esau get a blessing? He do get a blessing. Just how Ishmael got a blessing. But it wasn't the same one. Let's see what happened. Verse 30.
And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting.
Esau came in right when they got done. Go ahead.
And he also had made savory meat and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul be that thy soul may bless me.
Look at Esau. He finna take the blessing anyway, knowing he sold it. But he don't even know. He too late. Go ahead, 32.
And Isaac his father said unto him, who art thou?
His father was like, who the hell are you? I just blessed Esau. He like, who the hell are you? Go ahead.
And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau.
He said, I'm Esau. Go ahead.
And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, who?
He said, who? Go ahead.
Where is he that had taken venison and brought it and I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed.
He said, hey, I just blessed somebody. Who was that? Go ahead, verse 34.
And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry. And it said unto his father, bless me, even me also, O my father.
He saw now Esau crying, knowing you sold it. Why are you crying knowing you sold it? Daddy, I need a blessing too. Hook me up. I need something. Let's see what happens.
That's always been a famous tactic. Just start crying.
Yeah, cry.
Just start crying.
Gotta beware that cry. You gotta beware that cry. Because he knew he sold his brother. Not only he know he sold it, he swore to his little brother, it's yours. And when you swear, Most I say you gotta go through with it. That's why Jacob was smart. He said, hey, before I give you this food, swear. He did it. That's because he was hungry. Now he and his daddy face crying. Let's see what happened.
Verse 35, and he said, thy brother came with subtlety and had taken away thy blessing.
So he said, hey, your brother got you. Go ahead.
And he said, is not the rightly named Jacob? For he had supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he had taken away my blessing. And he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me?
He said he took it away. It's not reserved for me. Let's see what he say.
And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. And with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son?
He said, I already gave it to him. I already made him your Lord. He's over you now. I already blessed him. What you want me to do now, my son? Go ahead.
And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father?
He said, you only got one, you ain't got two. Go ahead.
But one blessing, my father, bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept
He's screaming and crying,
and throwing a tantrum.
throwing a tantrum, trying to. He don't care what type of blessing he get. He just want a blessing.
And demanding it from his daddy. Like he owes something.
That's right. He down there about to kill his daddy. Dad, remember his daddy is old and about to die. He's sitting here screaming, crying at him for a blessing that he sold. For a blessing that he sold.
For a meal
For a meal.
that they get every day.
And he a hunter. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Let's see what he do. Verse 39.
39. And Esau his father answered and said,
Read that again.
he said 39.
39, yeah.
And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above.
Go ahead.
And by thy sword shalt thou live.
So he's giving him a blessing. He said, and by now, mind y'all, the blessings that we see are also what? Prophecies. If y'all notice, the blessings are also prophecies. He said, you gonna live by the sword. Go ahead.
And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
So now these are two strange blessings. He told Jacob that you was gonna rule, but he also told Esau that he was gonna rule. I just want y'all to take note of that. He told both of them that he said when it's your turn to rule, you gonna take when you had dominion, you gonna take the yoke that your brother got on your neck, you gonna take it off your neck. Meaning you gonna come into a rulership too. But you gonna do what? Take it by the sword. So the blessings were also prophecies. And I want to talk about that before we move on because get Hebrews 11. Get Hebrews 11. This is what faith is. Faith is first and foremost believing that Christ was the Lamb of God and he died for your sin, meaning he was the Son of God, which was all prophesied in the law and in the prophets. So that means you believe in the prophecies. You read it you can read it, the prophecies in the Old Testament. You can read about them coming to pass and being fulfilled in the New Testament. But faith comes from believing in prophecy. This is what people fail to draw their faith from. People have a hard time drawing their faith from the prophecies that they read in the Bible. Because Esau had faith. Why? Because he believed in the blessings. Abraham had faith. He believed in the blessings. Let's read that in Hebrews 11, verse 20.
Hebrews 11, verse 20. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob.
It said, we just read that. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob. Go ahead.
And Esau concerning things to come.
You see that? He said, by faith, he blessed them concerning things to come. That's what a blessing was. A blessing was you being told you're going to receive this. That's what the blessing is. But you can only do that by what? By faith. You can only say, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna get that. That's what I'm gonna get." Or are you gonna scoff at it? Or you gonna scoff at it and be like, "Oh, you playing?" Jacob and Esau, they believed it so much they was fighting over it. They was fighting over it. And if you know who Jacob and Esau is today, still fighting over it. Who's fighting over the identity of being Jacob? It's still Esau and Jacob, the Edomites and the Israelites.
Yeah, and who's still ruling with weapons? Same way it said with Esau, because one of his blessings was he was gonna rule by the sword. So we gotta look at that too. Who's still ruling this day by the sword, or nowadays, it's more so guns and stuff, or weaponry, period.
Right. You can look at the prophecies and see who's Esau today, who's Israel today. And they still fighting over who is who. They still fighting over the same blessing. But today Israel taking it back. Because just like Isaac said, Esau, I already gave it to him. It's too late. But read verse 20 again.
Verse 20. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come.
But say by concerning things to come. That's where the faith come in at. Do you have faith that the prophecies in the Bible gonna come to pass? Go to Romans 3. That's where people go off at. People go off. They don't believe the Bible because they don't believe this stuff gonna happen. Not even seeing that stuff is already happening, that is already prophesied about. Romans 3 and 3.
Romans 3, verse 3. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect?
You see that? It's like, what if some don't believe? Is that gonna make the prophecies not come to pass? Go ahead.
God forbid.
So God forbid. Go ahead.
Yea, let God be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged.
So it don't matter if people don't believe it or do. Either way, it's still gonna happen. But we see our forefathers believe because they believe so much they were fighting in the womb for it. Like that blessing mine, that inheritance mine. I'm trying to rule the world. Me too busy trying to rule a social media corner, YouTube platform. We trying to rule the world. We trying to get that blessing. Go to Genesis 32. So no, let's go back and finish that. Genesis 27. We didn't finish that. And 41. Genesis 27 and 41. So after that happened, watch how Esau and Jacob's relationship go.
Genesis 27, 41. And Esau hated Jacob.
Now Esau hate Jacob. He hate him. How you hate him and you sold it to him though? You sold it. But now, verse 41 again.
And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for the days of mourning for my father are at hand.
So he said, my father died, about to die, so these are my days of mourning. But after that, what?
Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
But I'm killing that nigga. I'm killing that Negro. This is where the hatred, the brotherly hatred began. Because think about it. And we know, I'm just going to say Esau is the so called white man, and we is Jacob. It has nothing to do with the color of our skin. It's because we got the blessing that he sold us and tried to still keep it. This is why they treat us like this. And then on top of that, them treating us like this, they try to take it. We gonna take it anyway. We gonna take it and claim it anyway. Verse 42.
Verse 42. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah, and she sent.
So Rebecca heard him say, she gonna kill he was gonna kill Jacob. Go ahead.
And she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, do comfort himself, purposing to kill thee.
So he like, hey, your brother gonna be trying to kill you in a minute. Go ahead.
Now therefore, my son, obey my voice and arise. Flee thou to Laban, my brother, to Haran,
Go ahead.
and tarry with him a few days, until thy brother's fury turn away,
Go ahead.
until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then I will send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day?
So she like, look, get out of here because your brother is angry. He hates you. He want to kill you. 46.
And Rebekah said unto Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these, which are of the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do me?
So remember, a parents' job is to marry off their kids. So she like, don't get out of here. I don't even want you to marry these old fast tail girls over here. No way. Go over there with your uncle and stay there until your brother cool down. So now, so we see why Esau hated Jacob. So now let's go a little further to chapter 32. So when you read the chapters before, Jacob go to his uncle. That's when uh that's when he get his wives Rachel, Leah. He have his kids. He have 11 of his of the 12 sons. He been gone for like 20 years. Now in chapter 32, he want to come back and try to make things right with Esau. He been gone, having a life, got married, having kids, got rich. Now he want to come back and try to make his relationship right with his brother. Let's see what happened. Genesis 32, verse 1.
Genesis 32 and 1. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, This is God's host. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom.
So before we hit that, well, go ahead, go ahead. Let's read that. So now Esau, he's in Mount Seir, the country of Edom. Go ahead, verse 4.
And he commanded them, saying, thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now.
So he's sending messengers to give Esau this message. He said, I've been with Laban. Go ahead.
And I have oxen and asses, flocks and manservants and women servants. And I have sent to tell my Lord that I may find grace in thy sight. And the
So he said, look, he trying to find grace in Esau. He trying to make things right with his brother. This is Jacob. I remind you, Jacob was the righteous one. He trying to make things right. Go ahead.
and the messengers were and the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to thy brother Esau, and also he coming to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed.
So Jacob is afraid because remind you, Esau was a cold hunter. He was a cunning hunter. He was good with the sword. Remember, his father said, you go live by the sword. And then when he met his messenger, he met him with 400 men. Because at this point, Esau is rich too. Go ahead. Verse 7.
Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds and the camels into two hands.
So he divided everything he had into two. So now he got two groups of people, two groups of flocks. He divided everything he had in two. Let's see why. Verse 8.
And said, if Esau come to the one company and smite it,
so if Esau come to one group and kill him,
then the other company which is left shall escape.
So the other people can escape. Like he ain't just gonna kill all of us and take all our things. If he heard we kill one company, the other one gonna escape. So he came up with a plan. Verse 9.
And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which said unto me, return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become two bands.
So he got two bands. Go ahead.
Deliver me, I pray
So
thee,
now he praying to the Most High. Go ahead.
from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau.
He said, I pray you, deliver me from the hand of Esau. It's the same prayer we praying now. Go ahead. One second, yeah. It should be. Nah, that's it right there. That ain't working. It says you got that. Where we were at verse 11. Genesis 32 and 11.
Genesis 32:11. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, and from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me and my mother with the children.
So he said he was gonna smite me and the mother of my children. Go ahead.
And thou said, I will surely do thee good and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude.
So now he's remember his blessing. He was like, remember, I was gonna be the sand of the sea. So he's this afraid of Esau. Go ahead.
And he lodged there that same night and took of that which came to his end a present for Esau his brother, 200 she goats and 20 he goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams.
So this is all he got is this is everything he's gonna give to Esau when he see him. Go ahead.
30 milch camels with their coats, 40 kine and 10 bulls, 20 she asses and 10 foals, and he delivered them in the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove.
Go ahead.
And he commanded the foremost, saying, when Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, whose art thou, and whither goest thou, and whose are these before thee?
That's what he say to him. Go ahead.
Then thou shalt say, they be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, and he is behind us.
So he say, look, when Esau asks you this, tell him it's a present from me. So not only is he's coming to meet his brother, he's coming with a gift. So now let's see what happens. Go to chapter 33 and let's start at 1. Genesis 33 and 1. Let's see what happened when they meet up.
Genesis 33:1. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men.
So he got them 400 men with him. Go ahead.
And he divided the children unto Leah, and unto Rachel, and unto the two handmaids.
So he divided the children. He like, look, y'all split up. Go ahead. Here come Esau with his 400 men. Verse 2.
And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. And he passed over before them, and bowed himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother.
So he was so scared, he bowed down 7 times as he was walking up to Esau. This is him having all humility, because Esau was that cunning hunter. Remember, that's what he was. And Jacob, he was a mild, plain man, but he had strength. But he's using wisdom right now. Verse 4.
And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept.
So Esau was happy to see him. He was happy to see him, surprisingly. Go ahead.
And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and their children, and said, who are those with thee? And he said, the children which God had graciously given thy servant.
So he gave him a hug, embraced him, like, who is these children with these women? He said, these are the children that the Lord blessed me with. Go ahead.
And the handmaidens came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves.
And they bowed themselves to Esau. His wives and the children, they show respect to basically like uncle. Go ahead.
And Leah also with her children came near and bowed themselves. And after came Joseph near and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. And he said, what meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, these are to find grace in the sight of my Lord.
So he said, why is you having all these things you trying to give me? He said, "This is so I can find grace in the sight of my Lord." Go ahead.
And Esau said, I have enough, my brother.
And Esau said, I got enough. I don't need nothing. Go ahead.
Keep that thou hast unto thyself. And Jacob said, Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand.
He said, if you truly forgive me, if I found grace in your sight, take the presents that I'm trying to give you. Go ahead.
For therefore I have seen thy face, and though I had seen that the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me.
He said, it's just like being pleased with God being pleased with me if you being pleased with me. Like we reconciling, we squashing it. Verse 11.
Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God had dealt graciously with me, because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it.
So he urged him and he took it. So he took of it. So now it was a cool reconciling. It was a cool reconciling. So now uh let's look at the origins. Let's look at the process of time. We're gonna do it quick. Go to Genesis 36 and read verse 1. So we seen that we just went over that Jacob and Esau, they fought over the blessing. Esau sold the blessing, the birthright. Jacob had to trick Isaac to get it. Esau hated him for it. They separated, haven't seen each other in years, and then they just reconciled. They was cool. They brothers. So now, as the process of time went, now Esau, well, let's just read it. Genesis 36, we're going to read verse 1. A lot of reading today, a lot of history. Genesis 36, we're going to read 1, then jump to 8.
Genesis 36 and 1. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom.
So Esau is Edom, mean red. Jump to 8.
Verse 8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom.
So the land that the Most High gave to Esau is Mount Seir. And Esau is Edom. Go ahead.
And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir.
So Esau is the father of the Edomites. He's the forefather of the Edomites. Go to Genesis chapter 49. Read verse 1.
Genesis 49 and 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days.
So this is Jacob talking to sons. Jacob is old now. He's talking to his 12 sons. He didn't have the 12 sons already. Verse 2.
Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father.
Hearken unto Israel your father. When you read, you will see the names Reuben, Simeon, Judah, Dan, Benjamin, Joseph. You will see the names. So we're not gonna read all that. Let's jump to verse 28.
Verse 20.
Now, mind you, this is the same way how Isaac was about to die, and he gave the blessings of things to come to Jacob and Esau. This is what Jacob is giving his sons. In Genesis 49, he's giving them their blessings and telling them about things to come to them. We're not going to read that, but I just want y'all to see that. Read 28.
Verse 28. And all these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is it, that their father spake unto them, and blessed them.
And blessed them, go ahead.
Everyone according to his blessing, he blessed them.
So now he just passed the blessings down to them. But not only did he pass the blessings down, he told each tribe what they was going the future and what they was going to do and what they was going to be like. So this is what happened. So I just want to show that Jacob is the father of the Israelites. Esau was the father of the Edomites. So now we read Jacob versus Esau. Now let's read Israel versus Edom. So now we got, remember, she said, two nations of people is going to come from thy womb. So now let's look at, because there's still a brotherly covenant supposed to be there. But let's look at how the Israelites dealt with the Edomites. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 2. Let's get some history on. Now, how did the people interact with each other? We got the Edomites, we got the Israelites. How did they interact with each other? Start at 1. Deuteronomy 2, verse 1.
Deuteronomy 2:1. Then we returned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, as the Lord spake unto me. And we compassed Mount Seir many days.
Who lived in Mount Seir? Esau, Edomites. We read that back in Genesis 36. The Edomites lived in Mount Seir. So mind you, this is when they just came out of Egypt. They're in the wilderness. Now they're near Mount Seir. They're coming around Mount Seir. They just walking around. They know who lived there. They know the Edomites lived there. Verse 2.
And the Lord spake unto me, saying, Ye have compassed this mountain long enough. Turn you northward.
He said, y'all been walking around the wilderness too many years. Go northward. Go ahead.
And command thou the people, saying, Ye are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau.
So he said, you need to pass through the coast of your brethren. Who? The children of Esau. Go ahead.
Which dwell in Seir, and they shall be afraid. Take ye good heed unto yourselves, therefore.
He said, they gonna be afraid of you. Go ahead, verse 5.
Meddle not with them.
Say, don't mess with them. Go ahead.
For I will not give you their land.
This is not the land I'm gonna give y'all. Y'all not getting the land of Mount Seir. So just walk past them. Don't mess with them. That's not the land I'm giving y'all. Go ahead.
No, not so much as a foot breadth, because I have given Mount Seir unto Esau for a possession.
I gave that land to them. That's the land I blessed them with. Go ahead.
Ye shall buy meat of them for money, that ye may eat.
He said you can buy meat from them. Go ahead.
And ye shall also buy water of them for money, that ye may drink. For the Lord thy God hath blessed thee in all the works of thy land. He knoweth thy walking through this great wilderness. These 40 years the Lord thy God hath been with thee. Thou hast lacked nothing.
He said, I know y'all been walking around here this wilderness for 40 years, but y'all haven't lacked nothing. Now, I'm going to still get y'all the same thing. So now they got to walk through the land of Edom and Mount Seir. How did the Edomites receive them? Go to Numbers chapter 20. Let's see what happened when they walked through. Numbers chapter 20, we're going to start at 14.
Numbers 20:14. And Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus saith thy brother Israel, Thou knowest all the travail that had been befallen us, how our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And when we cried unto the Lord, he heard our voice and sent an angel, and had brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of thy border.
Go ahead.
Let us pass, I pray thee, through thy country.
So he sent the messenger. Moses sent the messenger asking the king of Edom, let us pass. Y'all know, the Most High just saved us from Egypt. We've been walking through the wilderness. Can we pass? Go ahead.
We will not pass through the fields or through the vineyards, Neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed our border.
He said, look, we ain't gonna eat nothing, we just gonna walk straight through. We ain't gonna steal nothing, we ain't gonna mess with none of y'all stuff. We just need to walk through. All right.
And Edom said unto him, Thou shalt not pass by me.
What did Edom say?
Thou shalt not pass by
He
me.
said, Edom like, hell nah. Hell to the nah. They still have what? That hatred. So now you know, now we kind of see, even though Esau forgave his brother, guess what he telling his kids? What's the story in Edom? That nigga stole my birthright. I bet none of his grandkids, none of them know that he actually sold it. They hate the Israelites because they think they stole our birthright. So he like, hell nah, y'all can't walk past. Go ahead. Verse 18 again.
And Edom said unto him, Thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with the sword.
He said, only way y'all coming through is if we going to war. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel said unto him, We will go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of thy water, then I will pay for it. I will only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. And he said, Thou shalt not go through. And Edom came out against him with much people and with a strong hand.
Go ahead.
And Edom refused to give Israel passage through his border, wherefore Israel turned away from him.
Israel they had to walk all the way around it. Because Edom refused. This is the beginning of the relationship of the Israelites and the Edomites. They just came out of Egypt. Now, mind you, when they was in Egypt, the Edomites is building and growing. They got a king. We have no structure yet. We just got a law. All we got is Moses right now. And Moses is basically teaching us the law in the wilderness. We don't have a king. We don't even have a homeland yet. And our brotherly Edomites treating us like we enemies. Let's get some more. Go to Judges chapter 11. Now let's not hit that. Go to 1 Samuel 14. 1 Samuel 14, hit 47. So now we finna look at once we get structured, once the Israelites get structured, once we get our land, you read about the story of Joshua, how we had to take the Canaanites and get the land. Once we get our land, then that's when the people say, hey, give us a king. Who was the first over Israel? Saul. So now we got a kingdom. What happened when we got our kingdom? Go to 47, 1 Samuel 14 and 47.
47. So Saul fought against all his enemies on every side.
So he fought against all the enemies on every side. Go ahead.
Against Moab, and against the children of Ammon, and against Edom, and against the kings of Zobah, and against the Philistines, and whithersoever he turned himself, he
That's when he fought. Even Edom was against that. And at this point, they are our enemies. He said, read the beginning of 47 again.
So Saul took the kingdom over Israel and fought against all his enemies on every side.
So Edom was a list of our enemies. Now they are our enemies at this point. What started it? When they didn't let us pass through when we was coming out the wilderness. They said, nah, y'all not coming through here. If y'all come through here, It's gonna be war. Let's get some more. Go to First Chronicles 18. Who was king after Samuel? When you read Samuel, we give a nice thrashing to the Edomites. Then David became king. Guess what? He started thrashing the Edomites. First Chronicles 18, read 1.
Verse 18 and 1. After this, it came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them, and took Gath and her towns out of the hand of the Philistines.
Verse 2.
And he smote Moab, and the Moabites became David's servant and
So,
brought gifts.
so David, he became king. Now he going to war. Remember, he was actually with Saul, because remember, he helped with the Philistines. But now he got the kingdom. Now he going to war. Jump to verse 11.
Verse 11. Them also King David dedicated unto the Lord with the silver and the gold that he brought from all these nations, from Edom.
So he got the silver and gold from Edom. Now we got the king. This is part of the prophecy that of the blessing. When he said the elder shall serve the younger. So he said we got the from Edom, go ahead.
From Edom and from Moab and from the children of Ammon and from the Philistines and from Amalek. Moreover, Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, slew of the Edomites in the valley of Salt, 18,000.
So he slew. We turn them up. They are enemies now. We going to war with them. It's supposed to be a brotherly covenant though. But we're going to war with them. Verse 13.
And he put garrisons in Edom, and all the Edomites became David's servants.
All the Edomites did what?
Became David's servants. Thus the Lord preserved David wherever he went.
All the Edomites became David's servants. The ones that was trying to be in war became our servants. So now we see there's a big war. So it was basically the downfall happened when when David sinned and the kingdom split. When y'all read, we're not gonna cover all of that. Just kind of quick overview. When we had basically only 4 kings ruled over all 12 tribes. It was Saul, David, Solomon, and it was Rehoboam or Jeroboam. I be getting them two mixed up. You know which one? Was it Jeroboam? That we gotta get it. Go to 2 Kings 2 Kings 17. Might be 12. Second or first. Yeah, is it First Kings? It's First Kings 12. Yeah, First Kings 12 was actually Rehoboam. Read that real quick. So this was after Solomon. After Solomon, read First Kings 11 and 43 first.
First Kings 11, verse 43. And Solomon slept with his buried in the sea of David, his father. And Rehoboam, his son, reigned in his stead.
So Rehoboam after Solomon. So this was the time when there was all 12 tribes. There was 4 kings over all 12 tribes. But when Rehoboam came, that's when the kingdom split. You can read about that in 1 Kings chapter 12 when the kingdom split. So once the kingdom split, guess what? All the nations around us start teaming up. And that's how we start losing to the Edomites, to the Philistines. That's how they got us. When the kingdom split, that's how they start getting us. Let's read about that real quick in 2 Chronicles 28. We just doing a quick, we doing a lot of history today. A lot of history and prophecy today. Second Chronicles 28, and we're gonna start at 16.
Second Chronicles 28 and 16. At that time did King Ahaz send unto the kings of Assyria to help him, for the Edomites had come in Judah and carried away captives.
So you see that? He said, now remember, at this time they were split. It was Judah and Israel, northern kingdom, southern kingdom. So now they had to. So now they teaming up. The Assyrian and the Edomites. They came and read it again, verse 17.
For again the Edomites had come and smitten Judah
And killed Judah. Go ahead.
and carried them away captives.
And carried them away captives. Verse 18.
The Philistines also had invaded the cities of the low country and of the south of Judah, and had taken Beth Shemesh and Ajalon and Jedaroth and Shoko with the villages thereof, Timnah and the villages thereof, Jimzo and the villages thereof, and they dwelt there.
You see that? So now they teaming up. Once the kingdom split, we wasn't that. Because when the kingdom split, we was fighting each other. So now they fighting each other. Hey, it's time. They teaming up, and now they taking us captives. Go to chapter 21. And the Edomites was teaming up with everybody. They like, we finna get that get back. Second Chronicles 21 start at 8.
Second Chronicles 21, verse 8. In his days, the Edomites revolted from under the dominion of Judah and made themselves a king.
See, Judah was over them for a time. And they said, you know what? We finna revolt. Go ahead.
Then Jehoram went forth with his princes and all his chariots with him, and he rose up by night and smote the Edomites which compassed him in the and the captains of the chariots. So the Edomites revolted from under the hand of Judah unto this day. The same time also did Libnah revolt from under his hand, because he had forsaken the Lord God of his fathers.
So now they teaming up with people, and they teaming up, and now they taking over. So now they taking over. So now we finna start to talk about. Go back to Genesis 27. Now we finna talk about the Edomites gained dominion. This is how the Edom. This is when the Edomites started to gain dominion. Because remember, he basically had the same blessing as Jacob. Let's read that. Genesis 27 and read 28.
27:28. Therefore, God give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine.
So this is the blessing to Jacob. This is Isaac blessing Jacob. Verse 29.
Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed he that blesseth thee.
So that was the blessings to Jacob. He was gonna rule. The nation was gonna bow down. People was gonna serve. But this is it was gonna have to do with heaven, the fatness of the earth. This is the same blessing, though. Not the same blessing, but it sounds like the same blessing for Esau. Jump to 39.
39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be in the fatness of the earth.
So this is the same thing that the exact same thing he just told Jacob. Your dwelling's gonna be the fatness of the earth. Go ahead.
And of the dew of the heaven from above. And by the sword shalt thou live.
And you're gonna live by the sword. Go ahead.
And shall serve thy brother.
You go serve your brother. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
He said, when you gonna get the dominion, though, you're gonna be in rulership when you break that yoke from your when you break that yoke that your brother got on your neck. Remember, when all 12 tribes, Saul had them, David had them, Solomon had them, like they weren't even no threat to us. But guess what? When the kingdom split, that's when they start to break that yoke off their neck and they started to take Judah into captivity. Now they starting to team up with other nations and they starting to rule. Now it's going to be a switch. So now let's get Second Esdras chapter 6 because this is important because their uh, blessing sounded almost the same. So it's going to mean that Jacob going to be a big dog. Esau, you going to take it. But guess what? When you read the prophecies, Jacob going to take it back. Second Esdras 6, verse 7.
Second Ezra 6 and 7. Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting? What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall the end of the first? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth?
So he's like, when gonna be the end of the first world and then the beginning of the second world to come? The end of the world and then the beginning of the second world. Go ahead.
And he said unto me, From Abraham to Isaac, unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the
It
world.
said Esau is the what?
End of the world.
Esau is the end of the world. Go ahead.
And Jacob is the beginning of it that follows.
And Jacob is the beginning of that follow. So it said basically when Jacob is ruling the world, when that comes to, when Esau is ruling the world, when that rulership comes to the end, that's when Jacob's rulership gonna come to. That's the beginning. That's the real beginning of that blessing that he got in Genesis 27. Read that again, verse 9.
For Esau is the beginning of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
And Esau is the end of the world, end of what? The first world. That's gonna be the end of this present world. They in rulership now. But when their rulership is over, that's when Jacob's begin. That's why they got the same. That's why it kind of sound like they got the same blessing, because they was gonna be the two dominant players, the two dominant kingdoms. So let's go to go to Malachi chapter 1. My bad. First Maccabees chapter 1. First Maccabees chapter 1. So this is when Esau started to rule the world. It started off when the kingdom split. They started teaming up with the other nations so they can take over us. Remember, that was prophesied in Genesis 27 that they was going to take a yoke off their neck when their dominion started. First Maccabees 1 and 1. This is when it started.
First Maccabees 1 and 1. And it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece.
He was the first over Greece. This is Alexander the Great. This is real history right here. If you go to Google, pull up Alexander the Great, you will see that whole history. He the one that took out Darius the Mede, and he started taking over. He started conquering that land all the way to the coast of India. He started. He was an Edomite. He started conquering all types of land. Verse 2.
and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the
and
earth.
slew the kings of the earth. Jump to verse 7.
Verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died.
So Alexander, he got the kingdom when he was 20 years old, because his father, uh I think they said his father was poisoned. His father was the king, and his father was poisoned when he was 20. So he got the kingdom at 20, and no, his father wasn't poisoned. He was poisoned. Uh, he got the kingdom at 20, and then at 32, they said he was poisoned. He was poisoned. 32. So he reigned 12 years. Go ahead. Verse 8.
And his servants bare rule every one in his
And
place.
that's when his servants took his place, because his son was a baby. He had an uncle, his was like handicapped, so they couldn't become king. So what happened was his generals and stuff, they like took over. Go ahead. Verse 9.
And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, and so did their sons after them many years.
And what happened?
And evils were multiplied in the earth.
And evils was multiplied in the earth. When the Edomites took over, it say, or the Greeks, when they took over, it said the evils was multiplied in the earth. It was it went crazy. Like even in like this is when the Greeks took over. Like in all the other captivities, the Persian Mede captivity, all these captivities we was going into, they didn't care about us knowing we was Israelites, about us keeping our laws. They didn't really care about it. But when the Greeks took over, they didn't want us doing none of that. We couldn't keep the Sabbath days. We had to become Greeks. We had to become Gentiles. They was evil. Go to Malachi chapter 1. So it said evils was multiplied throughout the earth when the Greeks took over. The Greeks took over. Now, mind you, this is what Isaac told Esau what was going to happen. He was going to live by the sword. And that's what happened. They conquered many places with the sword. Took over the world with the sword. Malachi 1 start at 1.
Malachi 1 and 1. The burden of the word, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother?
So he said, he was like, what, Esau our brother? Go ahead.
Saith the Lord. Yet I love Jacob, and I hated
He
Esau,
said, I hated Esau. Go ahead.
and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down.
So that's what we read about in Maccabees. Like they shall build, but he's given a prophecy, a future prophecy that they go build, they gonna become in power. But guess who gonna be the ones to throw it down is me. Nobody else gonna be able to take the Edomites down but me. Go ahead.
And they shall call them the border of wickedness.
And they shall call them what?
The border of wickedness.
Say they the border of wickedness. The border is the beginning and the end. The Edomites are the border of wickedness. That's why I said in First Maccabees, evils was multiplied in the earth when they took over. Why? They are the border of wickedness. All right?
And the people against whom the Lord had indignation forever.
And say the people in which the Lord have indignation forever. So now we starting to see that prophecy of they was gonna have the fat. They was gonna dwell in the fatness of the earth. They was gonna live by sword, and they was gonna have dominion. But Jacob, the blessing that Jacob got, was gonna come after that. meaning the final kingdom. Jacob gonna have the final kingdom, which is gonna be Christ's kingdom, which Christ gonna get it from the Most High. Go to Ezekiel 36. Now we're just gonna read a few prophecies about the Edomites because it's not a lot of stories about in the Bible about the Edomites, but it's a lot of prophecies about what's gonna happen to them. A lot of scholars try to say the Edomites is dead and gone because nobody want to claim to be the Edomites. Nobody want to claim to be the Edomites. When you read these prophecies, you gonna know why. Ezekiel 36, verse 5.
Ezekiel 36, verse 5. Thus saith the Lord, thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land unto their possession.
Now let's look at Idumea. Let's look at that word. If y'all got your Bible dictionary, go to page in the Bible dictionary, the Compact Zondervan Dictionary. It's on page 239. And read that out for Idumea. Idumea. Let's see what Idumea means.
Idumea pertaining to Edom.
Pertaining to who?
Edom.
Idumea is Edom. It's another word for Edom. Go ahead.
A Greek and Roman name for Edom.
It's just a Greek and Roman name for Edom. So when y'all see, just take this another note when y'all studying. When y'all see Idumea in the Bible, it's talking about Edom. Is it on that? Yeah, so that's all I wanted. So now let's go back to Ezekiel 36 and 5. Read that again. Now that we know it's talking about Edom, the Edomites, now let's read it. Verse 5.
Ezekiel 36 and 5. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all
It's
Idumea,
like against all Idumea who did what?
which have appointed my land unto their possession.
Who got the most possession now? This is prophecy. Said they have appointed my land into their possession. Go ahead.
With the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey.
So now you be starting to see prophecies clear. Idumea, which is Edom, have took the Most High land and appointed it into their possession. Prophecy coming to pass. Go to Psalms 83.
Man, here go that hunter coming out again too. That last part said the last part say with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. So whenever you get prey like that, clearly there's a predator on the other end. You know, they ain't kicked us out and they treating us as if we the prey. So they're out to kill us. These our enemies. They the predators. If we the prey, they clearly the predators. Yeah.
Right. No, I was just saying.
No.
Read verse 6, but I ain't got. There's so many prophecies about Edom. I just wanted to get a few of them. Go to Psalms 83. And read verse 1. I start at 2. Try to get through these quick. There's so many of them.
Psalms 83, verse 2. For thy enemies make a tumult. The enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones.
So they taking crafty counsel. Go ahead.
They have said them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That the name of Israel no more in remembrance. This is the crafty counsel. It said they are. Did we read that yet? Oh no, verse 5.
Verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
They are a confederate means conspiracy. They are a conspiracy against us. Now it's going to tell us who. Verse 6.
Verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom
They first. The tabernacles of Edom, go ahead.
and the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites. This was uh Abraham was Isaac's brother. Edom was Jacob's brother. Where is the brotherly covenant at? That's why when it said, when Cain said, am I my brother's keeper? He was saying that evilly, mockingly. Just how Edom is doing Jacob. Even Ishmael doing to Isaac.
Yeah, I was hoping to say that's two of the sons there.
Yeah, two of the brothers right there.
Yeah.
Two sets of brothers right there. Named first. Read that again, verse 6.
The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes,
All right.
Jabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Selah. Do not
That's it on that. So you see, it's like, and even the nations that was around Israel, because they remember they start teaming up, and then this is even future prophecy. It never stopped. It never stopped. Go to Amos chapter 1. Amos, because it said Tyre, the inhabitants of Tyre. Tyre was Hamites. Amos 1, hit verse 9.
Amos 1 verse 9. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom.
It said, I'm gonna punish Tyrus or Tyre because they delivered up the Israelites to Edom. Go ahead.
And remember not the brotherly covenant.
And remember not the brotherly covenant. Solomon we had made a brotherly covenant with Tyre and their king at that time. They broke that covenant to deliver us up to Edom. Remember, they was confederate. Go ahead. Verse 10.
But I will send a fire on the wall of Tyrus, which shall devour the places thereof.
So this is all future destruction for the heathens that all had a hand in destroying Israel, even till this day, right now, in 2023. These nations are still destroying us, using us, coming into our neighborhood, getting rich off of us. We still getting used. But these are all prophecies of the Most High getting them. Read verse 9 again.
Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom.
The whole captivity to Edom. Let's look at that. This was a hasn't happened yet in the Bible. Let's look at another prophecy about this. Go to Joel 3. Go to Joel 3. And we go read verse 1.
Joel 3 and 1. For behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations.
So they scattered us all over the world, and then what?
And parted my land.
And parted my land. Go ahead.
And they have and they have cast lots for my people, and have given the boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink.
Go ahead.
Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and
That's
Zidon?
what we just read about in Amos 1 about Tyrus and Tyrese, same thing, same nation. He said, what do you have to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, the Hamites? Go ahead.
And all the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, I will return your recompense upon your own head,
Why?
because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant
Go
things.
ahead.
The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the
He
Grecians.
said, the children of Judah, the northern kingdom, and the southern kingdom, ye have sold to the Grecians. This is what we just read in Amos 1. He said, you delivered the whole captivity up to Edom. Here it's the same thing. You have sold them to the Grecians, the Greeks. Go ahead.
That ye might remove them far from their border.
So you can remove them far from their border. We can see this with the transatlantic slave trade and everything. 70 AD is when it started. This is all on Edom. Go to Obadiah. Go to Obadiah. Start at 1. 1 and 1.
Obadiah 1 verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God, concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor of the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen.
So this whole chapter is concerning who? Edom. This whole chapter is concerning Edom. This is a prophecy about Edom in the last days. Go ahead.
Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly
It
despised.
say Edom go be greatly despised among all the other heathens. All the other heathens gonna despise Edom, and we see that today. Edom go, they rule the world. They go everywhere and take over, acting like they helping and take over. Jump to verse 8.
Verse 8. Shall I not shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau, and thy mighty men? O O to mine shall dismay to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by
It
slaughter.
say everyone from the mount of Esau will be killed. Let's see why. Verse 10.
For thy violence against thy brother
For
Jacob,
what?
for thy violence against thy brother Jacob.
For the violence against thy brother Jacob. This is why Esau have to pay. In the end. That's why I say Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning thereof. But who gonna take Esau out? Who gonna take Edom out? The Most High is. This is why it's so many prophecies about what's gonna happen to Edom in the Bible. In the Bible, and when you understand prophecy, you understand the Bible. So read that again, verse 10.
For thy violence against thy brother Jacob shall against thy brother Jacob shame, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
And thou shalt be cut off forever. Let me see if I wanted anything else. Yeah, jump to 17.
Verse 17. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions.
So who is Jacob possessions? The other nation. We read that in the promise. We read that in the promise when Isaac gave the promise to Jacob. Said that they was gonna serve you, they was gonna bow down to you. Verse 18.
And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for
And the
stubble,
house of Esau is going to be stubble, burnt up. Go ahead.
and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it.
For the Lord has spoken it. For the Lord has spoken it. Let's get Esau out the Bible dictionary. It's on page, the Compact Bible Dictionary. It's on page. I didn't write it down. Read that. It's on page 156 for Esau. Read that real quick.
Esau, hairy, firstborns of twin brothers, Esau and Jacob, son, sons of Isaac and Rebekah, sold his birthright for a mess of pottage to his brother, married two Hittite women, sought to kill Jacob for tricking him out of Isaac's blessing, later reconciled to Jacob. Scripture sometimes uses Esau as the name of the land of Edom in which his descendants live.
Is that it? Let me see. So it might have been Edom. It was something that I wanted.
Probably Edom because it was attached to the Idumean.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, it's Edom. I'm bad. Yeah, yeah, here we go. Yeah, read the last paragraph for Edom. It's on page 142 for Edom.
Just
That last paragraph, yeah.
Edom figures prominently in the prophetic scriptures as the scene of great future judgments.
That's what we just read. We read a lot of great future judgments concerning Edom. We didn't even read a third of them. We didn't even read a quarter of them. There's so many of them that prophesy about Edom being destroyed. Go ahead.
Script, Edom figures prominently in the prophetic scriptures as the scene of great future judgments. She is the only neighbor of the Israelites who was not given any promise of mercy from God.
It's a how can John 3:16 mean God can save everybody? But it said, read that part again.
She is the only neighbor of
She's the only neighbor of the Israelites. Go ahead.
who was not given any promise of mercy from God.
That is not given any promise of mercy from God. It said, there shall be none remaining of the house of Esau. That's why what? Nobody wants to claim to be them. Who wants to claim to be the Edomites? And they know all these prophecies are against them. Nobody. So what we did, we just went over the history of it, uh, how they wasn't a real brother to the Israelites. Why the Edomites really hated the Israelites? They felt like Jacob took or stole the birthright from them. When the true story is their forefather sold the birthright and they became so wicked and so evil, they took over the world. But the Most High said He's gonna bring them down. All future judgment. Let's get one more future judgment. Get Ezekiel 25. Get Psalms 137. 137 and 7.
Psalms 137, verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof.
It said, remember the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem. The day of Jerusalem is Judgment Day. He said, King David said, remember the children of Edom. Remember those guys. Then I get Ezekiel 25 and 12. Ezekiel 25 and 12.
Ezekiel 25, verse 12. Thus saith the Lord God, because that Edom had dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and had greatly offended, and revenged himself upon them.
You see that? It said they by taking vengeance upon, by taking vengeance. What vengeance? Thinking Jacob stole the birthright. Go ahead.
And had greatly offended, and revenged himself upon them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from to man, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword.
Go ahead.
And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel.
It said Israel. He said, I'm gonna lay my vengeance upon them by the hand of Israel. Go ahead.
And they shall do in Edom according to my anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord God.
So it's all prophecies against the Edom. It's a lot of them against the heathens. Period. The Moabites, the Philistines. It's a lot of them, but you see, it's mostly a lot of prophecies against Edom. These nations, period. They're gonna be done for. So yeah, so I just wanted to give a history lesson on Jacob and Esau, and then the Israelites and the Edomites kind of show it's a lot of prophecies to understand to use that in. So all praise for that. Most High allowed us to prophesy today. Pray that edification goes out. Let's end it with Matthew 26.
Matthew 26 and 6. Now in that day, now when Jesus was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she had poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, where verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman had done be told for a memorial of her.
So all praises for that. God, Christ gave Mary Magdalene a memorial, like she prepped him for comfort him in the time of his need and prepared him for death, and so much that he gave her a memorial for it. So with that, we gonna end it there. We say shalom.